All right, Rick, more out-of-home questions for you. And this one's a biggie since this is the foundation of out-of-home. And this is a big one. Will static printed billboards go away?
That's been predicted for some time. I'm here to say no. In fact, I think the rise of digital is creating a corresponding rise of value for static and printed. First of all, it's a commitment in public space. When you print something and put it up for a few weeks, you're saying, hey, this is my position. This is what I have to say. It's my story and I'm sticking to it. And there's value to that in front of the public. And I think the more we see digital and things like Chat GPT and temporary ephemeral messaging, the more we will value and appreciate something that's physical, tactile, and real in front of our face.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And you see that in a lot of markets around the country for sure. You see right there, 15withrick.com. Get to that URL and that gets you right to Rick's schedule. I've known Rick for a very long time. He's among the very best in the out-of-home world. Spend 15 minutes with him. You'll learn a ton. Seriously, in 15 minutes, I guarantee you will learn more about out-of-home than you could have imagined. So, Rick, thank you so much. And thank you to PJX Media for your support of Indie Agency News.
Thank you, man.
Before we get started, let's show you this.
I got a question for you. Who's cool now? Here, chicky. You guys ready to party?
When you are trying to stay cool, there are better options than fans. Unlike fans, Horticool evaporative coolers actually work to keep you and the air around you cool. Horticool evaporative coolers are better for the environment and better for your budget. Choose a Porticool. We aren't fans of fans.
From Indie Agency News, let's meet an indie agency. That was fun. I chuckled a lot.
It was a lot of fun. The main emphasis on was with that whole shoot was making sure we got the right chicken shot. The style of the chicken was the
okay. Now, I will say, I think I have a pair of those glasses lying around, and I did have that hair when I was younger. So I just want to point that out. We have the gang here from Bray Co. You can see their names. You can see their bright, shiny faces. And we're very excited to bring you on today. So let's start with, okay, I've already said the name of the agency. When was the agency founded? Where are you located? And let's start with the basics, shall we?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone, Peter. We were founded a little over 4 years ago. In terms of location, it's an interesting story. So, I came from I will call it big agency world, holding company world, and realized that there must be people like me who have climbed the corporate ladder, got to near the top of the corporate ladder, and didn't like the view. Well, there had to be people that didn't like the view. And I'd moved from New York to the Coachella Valley and thought, well, I don't want to have an office. And also I need to find talented people who probably don't want to go to work every day, who decide to leave the traditional big city. And so we've never had an office. So we've been distributed since well before COVID. And so as an example, I'm still in the Coachella Valley. Cambria's in Los Angeles. Eaon, our CSO, is in Melbourne, Australia. And so we've got, Denver, Chicago, very much scattered. So we couldn't be less interested in having a head office. It's no interest in it. And it was interesting with COVID, Doug. Prior to COVID coming along, some people, potential clients, were like, well, they're not really an agency because they don't have a nice meeting room I can walk into. Well, COVID came along and suddenly all the big agencies are saying how great they are because they don't need an office. So that was a real turning point for us.
Well, you're in the Coachella Valley, so I would say that's a good HQ to have. So let's talk about, agencies are best known for things. So what would you say your agency is best known for, whether that's publicly or among your clients?
Yeah. So what are we best known for? So I'm a believer in specializations. I think a lot of agencies are saying really similar things, and a lot of agencies have maybe tried to do too much. My view is advertising agencies shouldn't go anywhere near product development. Right? You can have a separate arm, but don't really go near as a core. So we are very proud to be specialists in launch and relaunch campaigns only. That is all we specialize in. Now, the nice thing is clients stick with us. We haven't lost a client for 2 years. And that loss was because the CMO moved, as we all know happens. But we think that the combination of creative together with the sequencing of the media is incredibly important at launch. And often we focus on the why, when, and where, but it's not enough in terms of the when and the sequencing of what release and how we do it. So launch and relaunch, we'd like to think we're a really good agency at doing launch and relaunch of products, services, or brands. And in terms of the core 3 strengths, look, strategy, exceptionally strong. We're very top heavy in strategy and kind of proud of that. In terms of creative, we do believe we've taken a bet on video as always the middle of a 360 campaign, and that seems to be more and more the case. And then on the media side, we have a strength in what we call inverse marketing, which is the simple way to say it, Doug, is if we're trying to target over 50s, we'll exclude everyone who's under 50. So we call that inverse targeting. And they're the 3 core strengths, I would say, within the launch and relaunch universe that we live in.
Got it. Let's talk about why you love being an indie. Why is it important to be an indie for your team, but also for your clients? Who wants that jump ball?
I'll take this one.
Excellent.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cambria. I think first and foremost for us, being an indie for our team, Peter talked a little bit about how we're kind of, located everywhere. So I think it provides the team, flexibility personally and professionally. So that's one. And then I think another reason for us is that, you have creative freedom, and you get to take ownership of what you're doing for the client specifically, and then for the team. So it gives you that autonomy that if that's what you're looking for, and overall it's just a great way to kind of work on separate projects but come together and support each other.
Yeah. Now, the independent ecosystem, I used a corporate word there, by the way, so apologies for that. Let's just the indie world.
You didn't just use it, you leveraged it.
I did leverage it. I walked right into that one. Hey, Doug. What do you learn from other indies, though? Because again, it's a huge business, but a small industry. What do any of you learn from other independent agencies?
I think it's a big part of that is maybe seeing how they are set up internally. I think that's one thing that's really helpful. I think another piece to that would be like, how they, what are their operational efficiencies? That's another thing. And then also just gaining new perspectives and insights from them.
No, because I think, and that's one of these places that I feel is very I don't want to say underappreciated or underrated, but the operational side of it, understanding building these types of agencies, it changes so rapidly, but no, it's good because I think there is this spirit of giving, in addition to providing some level of intelligence in working with brands. So let's move into this part about what brands should know about working with you. And I'll ask a very, not at all a big question at all. What's the main reason a brand should work with you? Why should a brand work with your agency?
I'll take this one, Doug. Do you know, I'm sure you'll know the comedian George Carlin.
Yeah.
The legendary George Carlin. I read an interview with him I think it was one of the last interviews he gave before he died. And he said an interesting thing. He said that comedians, get better with age because you start to have a bigger data set to draw on for comedy, So he said all the best comedians were over 50, not the younger ones, So, I think one of the advantages for brands working with us, I think Pete said before, we've all been around the block a couple of times, been in network agencies, and we sort of made all of those mistakes and learned everything there. So I think when you work with us, I'm sure a lot of indie agencies say this, they say, well, the team that's on the slide is the team that works on the business. But that really is the case with us, right? So you get the very senior people who are actually doing the work as well. And because we've sort of been around, I think we've learned definitely to take an evidence-based approach. So, what we want is for our clients to succeed. We're not there to give them platitudes or, say anything that's going to make them happy. We think ultimately success is what's really going to make them happy. So I think, that's that's our approach, and a lot of clients really respond, to that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about talent and what talent should know about working at your agency. And I think by extension, you could talk about maybe contractors or freelancers as well. Why should talent, or whether they're full-time or whether they're freelance, why should they put your agency on their list?
Yeah, I'll jump in. We're a trust-based organization. I like to always talk about this notion, especially when you're distributed. I would abhor the idea of ever having some kind of software widget on people's laptops to track whether they're online or not, or that sort of thing. I think when you start from a perspective of imbuing people with trust from day one, you get more out of people. Mm-hmm. Because if you're going to give someone accountability, you have to give them responsibility. And often people are accountable without the responsibility. And I think when you do that, you give people incredible freedom to do their best work, whether it's strategic planning, media, whether it's creative ideation. We provide an environment which I think is optimal for people to really push themselves. We don't have people doing crazy hours. We've only ever actually pitched once, which probably is not a good thing in 4 years. But it's trying to avoid, the idea of people having to work more over weekends. It's not sustainable. And when we talk about trust, and everyone on this call knows this, we want to be a sustainable agency. This is not an agency that's built to win every piece of business we possibly can and churn. It's to have a set of clients that we can grow with. They're bought into us, we bought into them. So with that, when you have that basis, our clients actually trust us. So they know that we're going to be responsible with budgets, time, et cetera, but no one's looking at how many hours we spend on things. That's not part of our culture. What we look at is the results of those hours. So that gives you incredible freedom. And so I would say to potential employees, if you value being in an organization where you're actually trusted, where I think you will do your best work, and an organization isn't trying to squeeze every billable hour, because that's not how we work with clients, then I think Bray Co is an attractive place. And I would also say, people talk about work from home is better than work from the office. So my view is work from wherever is best for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really live that philosophy as well.
All right. So I want to talk about a couple of things behind you. What's the Clio for?
There's a story behind the Clio.
Go.
So the story behind the Clio is it was for some work about 12 years ago. I won't mention the clients.
That's fine.
But I didn't like the work. I didn't like the work. And I was going to give it away. And so I knocked on the person, true story, in the office next to me with this Clio, and like, you know what? You can have this, right? And they went, Peter, you're being an idiot. You did the work. It wasn't just you. Be proud of actually having gotten the work out the door. So this one is the only award. Well, there might be another one up there. I don't know. It's the only one that I keep up there. It's a reminder of never taking the work for granted, ever.
Oh, that's a good reminder.
Yeah.
That's a good reminder. I like it. And then being former ad weaker myself, I see your fastest growing behind you. That's always nice.
Yeah, somewhere.
It's right behind. It's that part of your head. And then I'm noticing a book by our own Eaon Pritchard.
Yes, that's one of his.
Mate, what is that? The title is "Where Did It All Go Wrong?" Please explain.
Yeah, that was my first book. Came out end of 2017. So I just sort of wrote it just for a bit of fun, but for some crazy reason, like heaps of people bought it. So it became there was a little sticker on it saying the cult classic. It's not quite a bestseller, but enough for it to be that. So I did another one, Shot by Both Sides 2020. Got a new one that'll be out probably in October this year, called If There's a Hell Below, We're All Gonna Go. So and they're all kind of just really a sort of aging advertising guy's existential dread. So if you're into that kind of thing, which a surprising amount of people seem to be, then they check this out. I'll send you the new one, Doug. When as soon as
I'm of a certain age. I'm definitely of a certain age, and I like your Scottish borderline fatalism there. So that's always a nice.
I can't help that. We're just it's genetic. That's just what we get.
Well, and I will say that I mentioned Ad Week, but I proudly worked for the Drum for 2.5 years as well. So
all right, okay, well,
yeah. They gave me a good kickstart. So really, soft spot in my heart, for sure. Cambria, do you have anything that you'd like to plug? maybe the shades behind you. I just
no. It's a cloudy day in Los Angeles.
Okay,
but I will say a quick funny story about when I first started, working specifically with Peter. He very much is very much the type of leader that trusts you, like from day one. Mm-hmm. And I remember in the beginning when we started working together, I was kind of freaked out by that because I'm very much a go-getter and independent thinker, but he does not micromanage, and it's like your project and you own it. And that scared me at first because I felt like I didn't have a safety net. But I will tell you, ever since I've embraced that and just ran with it, I actually think that's made me individually a more confident employee and better team member, because I know what I'm responsible for and how I'm contributing to the team. So in the beginning, I was scared, but now I'm actually very grateful for it. So
Peter, you're blushing. You're blushing.
That's so nice, Cambria. You win a free book.
Scottish existentialism. I love it. Eaon's the Scottish Camus.
Yeah.
I love it. Bonus question for Peter: where was the pavlova invented?
Well,
No, it's New Zealand. Okay, thanks for coming. Appreciate that.
Say it's Australia, but it's very contentious, Doug. Very
Okay, we will. There will be a PAV battle at some point when we get when we get some Kiwis on. There will be a battle, so we will get forensically into this topic. Eaon and Cambria, if you've never had a pavlova, I'm sure Eaon you have. It is the world's greatest dessert, and I will leave it at that. I will leave it at that.
But apparently, the trick is the vinegar.
Yes, that is true.
Chewy on the inside and crispy on the outside.
Yes, indeed it does. Yes, and on that very useful note for the rest of the independent world, I want to thank all of you. It's been a great pleasure spending some time with you, and I'm glad that everybody got to meet an indie agency. I do have one more question though. Is there a marketer or a CMO you want to say hi to? Somebody that you really respect or like, that's like, hey, we're over here too.
Yeah, I'd say Sumi Ghosh, who she was the CMO I sort of alluded to prior. She's now at Reynolds Wrap. Thank you for everything, Sumi. Thank you for everything. You've been wonderful.
No, I love it. I love it. Right on. Well, on behalf of everybody at Indie Agency News, we wish you continued success and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Doug.